I've been on a pure carnivore diet for 555 days. No vegetables, fruits, no grains, nuts, seeds, legumes, salads, sauces, just fatty cuts of red meat, some eggs, occasionally some seafood, and a little bit of raw dairy here and there. So, was it worth it? Honestly, it's the best decision I've ever made in my life. I'm not depressed anymore. I don't have to deal with acid reflux daily.
I had chronic acid reflux. That's gone, deceased.
All my skin conditions have improved. Less wax in my ears, less plaque on my teeth. My energy's way up. My sleep's improved. I get up easy in the mornings. And I've gained control of both my health and my moods for the first time in my adult life. So before I set out on this whole journey, usually in the mornings I would have things like grains with almond milk and fruit. Come lunchtime I would have like a chicken salad sandwich or a tuna salad sandwich. And then dinner time it would be more grains, rice, pasta, lean meats, occasionally some minced meat, ground beef, but mostly things like chicken and cod and stuff like that, very lean animal products, and then accompany that with vegetables and sauce. And despite that sounding like a reasonably well-balanced diet, it clearly didn't work because I was miserable. I didn't realise how much lethargy I had. I didn't realise how much brain fog I had. This is the interesting thing about the diet, is that not only did I address and cure my depression, like that completely lifted in 3 weeks.
This is hard not to share, and I'm going to try and do it without sounding preachy. My depression is gone, okay? I don't feel like I have the same kind of mental fog or mental health problems. I just have better mental clarity. That unnecessary suffering has lifted. It's crazy.
But a whole host of other benefits just seem to become apparent. So it was mid-July of 2022 when I decided to set myself a 30-day challenge, the BBBE challenge. So beef, butter, bacon and eggs. The first 2 weeks no doubt were the hardest. I think because it was brand new. I wasn't used to consuming these types of foods exclusively. Getting enough fat in was difficult. And obviously just intense cravings for different sweet-like flavours and carbohydrates. Going into that third week, that's when things started to turn around. And honestly, at the end of week 3, bang, my depression had gone. My energy was way up.
I have more energy in the morning. I wake up very easily. I'm more tired at night.
So many improvements, and it's just like everything aligned.
I don't burn in the sun. I don't sweat. I know this sounds crazy. I can attribute that to restricting omega-6 out of the diet. That's why that happens. No plaque on my teeth, no wax in my ears. Everything that these people are documenting that happens when you go on a carnivore diet, it's true.
And since that time, I've not had any symptoms of depression, and things have only actually gotten better. So I don't get any cravings anymore, where it took me maybe about 4 months to completely rid all of the cravings. I was still thinking about bread. I was still thinking about pasta.
And I really love pasta. And I really love pizza, man.
Yeah.
Woo!
But now I couldn't care less. In fact, I look at that stuff like, what the hell is that? What on earth is that stuff? Poison. So I've mostly been consuming beef. I just prefer the way it tastes. I prefer the fat. I love ribeyes. I love sirloin steaks. Short ribs are one of my favourites. And actually right up there would be oxtail. I get it as much as I can. And I also include things like bone marrow, add butter, just to increase fat if necessary. Whole eggs are very easy, convenient and cheap. So it's just a nice affordable way to get you to satiety. So if you've got a small amount of meat, you can just add eggs until you're full, and that's perfectly fine. You can pretty much live on eggs. And then once a week on a Friday, I take myself down to Chart Farm, which is just down the road from here, and I'll buy a little bit of seafood, usually wild mackerel. And the reason for that is, first of all, I think it's one of the healthiest, safest options in terms of seafood. It's wild, it's healthier than farmed. It's a smaller, oily fish, so not too high in heavy metals or anything like that. You've got high levels of D3, K2, and you've got a lot of DHA, and I believe that DHA is very, very important. And I just like to mix it up as well. If you're one of those people that are happy to consume ground beef and eggs every day, the same way, at the same time, that's great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You can be very, very healthy, and you don't need or require variety or to try and, find different cuts and things like that. It's not necessarily needed. I don't take any medications. I personally don't take any supplements either, including electrolytes. Even though not having a colon actually puts me at a higher risk of regulating electrolytes, I don't really seem to have any issues just consuming red meat, eggs, add high quality salt to taste, and then drink water when I'm thirsty. That's it. I seem to do just fine. I don't really get any of those cramp-like symptoms or fatigue. I don't really seem to suffer, so I just keep it simple. I realise there's a lot of concerns about lack of nutrients like vitamin C in red meat, perhaps even fibre. Firstly, vitamin C is present within red meat and other animal products. Yes, it's very low, but when you're not consuming carbohydrates or any substrates that are metabolized as glucose, you're not having to seek so much vitamin C in your foods. And the reason why that is because molecularly, vitamin C and glucose are very, very similar. So they compete for absorption. When you take the carbohydrates out of the diet, you're absorbing all of the vitamin C that's found in meat, and that meets all of our needs. I don't have scurvy, so I have no vitamin C deficiency, nor does any other carnivore on the planet. In terms of fibre, fibre is non-essential. You absolutely do not need to consume any fibre whatsoever to open your bowels. That's an absolute myth. The best thing about the carnivore diet for me, this beautiful way of life, not only did it cure my depression and multiple other ailments, but it just simplified my life. And so I spend very little time in my days thinking about food, in the kitchen, prepping meals for work, none of that. I basically know what I'm going to eat. I spend very little time going shopping, right? It's really, really easy. And I come home and I take my meat out, I sit it there, and it can mind its own business for a few hours. It's not really in my mind. When I finally get hungry, I'm in the kitchen for like 20 minutes maybe, and then I'm done. I don't have to prep lunches for work because I'm not eating any food when I'm at work. I've got so much energy, I don't require a lunch. In the very beginning, it's totally different because you're switching from a carbohydrate-heavy diet to a diet devoid of carbs and high in fats and proteins. And so you typically get cravings. You're going to feel hungry quite frequently. I was easily eating 3 meals a day, where after a couple of months, I was eating more like 2 meals a day and occasionally snack. And then after that, I was playing with 1 meal a day and would go back and forth. I wasn't quite there yet. But now I only eat once a day, maybe twice a day, once a week. What's happened for me is that over time, it's been well over 18 months now, I have reduced the frequency and increased the amount that I'm eating in one sitting. And that works really, really well for me. Again, it just simplifies life. And so at this point, I'm not thinking about breakfast, lunch and dinner. I'm not even thinking about, I have to have breakfast to go to work. No, I don't even bother with breakfast. Maybe once every 2 weeks, I'll have a breakfast. Usually I'll come home and have a decent meal that sees me through. And by the time I wake up, I'm still full, I'm still nutrified, and I've got what feels like all the energy in the world. And I actually feel better when I go to work on an empty stomach. I'm still running on the meal from the day before. But that's how I like to function. And like I say, it's just so simple when you live your life that way. Only get up, wash, put clothes on, and leave the house. It's life-changing, and I can't unfeel what I feel now. There's no way I could go back. It's a night and day difference between both lifestyles. And I feel like I've been reborn. Back then, when I was eating all the healthy foods and all the balanced diet foods, I was miserable and weak, and my moods would go up and down. I couldn't control how I felt and my emotions, and it was kind of pathetic, honestly. I thought there was something really, really wrong with me, and I mean there was, but who knew that those problems were triggered with foods, so-called healthy foods as well. Sure, I had industrial seed oils in the diet. Sure, I did have dessert after my dinner, but I feel like the majority of people that try to be healthy, they have a mixture of foods, the grains, the fruits, the vegetables, the different meats and fish, and they season it, and they have all these herbs and spices, may have teas, coffees, treat yourself to a dessert every now and again, and they're fine. Well, I'm obviously a sensitive person with my health, and there are many, many people out there who are struggling with all kinds of ailments that this diet, this beautiful way of life, can address meaningfully. If you are one of those people that have some GERD, if you have depression or anxiety, you might just struggle to get up in the morning and you're always lethargic. You might have psoriasis, arthritis, joint issues, struggling to go upstairs, swollen ankles, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes. Every single one of these problems can at least vastly improve on a pure carnivore diet. I communicate with such a variety of people around the world, different ages, different blood types, different ethnicities, different religious beliefs. It doesn't matter. It seems that humans are designed to eat this stuff. If you're consuming red meat, it's not inflammatory, it's full of all the nutrients you need. And so there's no culprits in the diet. It's not going to aggravate your arthritis, right? It's not going to continue to store oxalates in the system. It's not going to continue to elevate your blood glucose or add fat to your liver, whatever it might be. So my message is, honestly, if you're struggling, what have you got to lose? Just try it. Set yourself a 6-week challenge. It takes 6 weeks building up to that point where you are now carnivore, and then do that for 6 weeks. So you're talking about 3 months where you're starting to change your diet. And I do think that that's long enough. You will get your answer. Most likely you'll be able to come off medications, or at least decrease medications, the frequency, the potency. your inflammation will come down, and that's what we want.